Hi everyone, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Deep.
sir.
Good morning,
Good
Deep.
morning, sir.
Good morning.
How you all are doing today?
Great.
All good. Good. All good.
All
Good.
good, sir.
So I believe everyone has gone through the agile session that's been sent.
Yes, sir.
Anyone has got any questions from there? First of all, I'll address to those questions and then we'll move with the project explanation.
No.
No question, Deep. No.
No questions from anyone? Was that so clear?
No.
That no
Yes.
questions? Awesome. Nice. So first of all, thank you for joining Downtown Coders. And I know I have spoken to every one of you. I think each one of you, and I'm aware of what route that you guys are following, what problems you guys are facing right now to get into the industry. Uh, Everyone has learned Tableau bits and pieces from here and there, and there are many of you who have learned it from Downtown Coders as well. So, how was your journey? I would like to know who are already a part of Downtown Coders. How was your journey so far? And anyone can volunteer and say, huh? I will not go to each one of you and ask.
So I would like to start first.
Mm-hmm.
It has been a very impressive journey with DTC, and what I have learned here is the core concepts of the SQL and Tableau. While and last week we had our mock interview for SQL, wherein we got to know that it's not enough to just watch videos. We have to practice a lot, and that is something that was lacking from my end. So, so I just need to practice more and invest more time into it. Rest all the videos and the concepts are very explained in very much detail, and there are a lot many additional things that Amol sir has shared on this on those sessions. So that is more informative, I guess. And whenever I go through interview sessions that are posted there on YouTube or say on various websites, I see that most of, I mean, almost all of them have been already discussed in our sessions. So I don't think there is any thing that is missing from Amol sir's end. It's just that we need to put in some more efforts and uh, get going. That's it.
All right, thank you very much. But I think some of you have not yet faced the sequel round. Don't know why. We had been repeatedly asking to give your time slots, but the sequel interview, you did not. I think some of you guys did not face it. Some of you guys did face it as well. But yes, the performance were ups and there were ups and downs in the performance. But we will discuss that later, I guess. Right. Let's talk about the types of projects that we have in the industry at the moment. I'll just share my screen and I will make you go through this. It's very important. Okay. These are some of the points that you need to remember. Okay. It can be during your introduction, you speak about this. It can be anything during the entire interview. You can also talk about these points. Okay. The types of projects. In fact, there are two types of projects that are right now functioning in the industry. One is a prototype based project. Okay. And the second is analytics based project. Okay, so these are the two types of projects that are right now functioning in the industry. And what is a prototype based project and what is an analytics project? I will talk in a little bit. But the more number of projects that are coming right now in the industry is an analytics based project. That is the main reason that Tableau and the Power BI domain has boosted like anything. There are a lot of openings that are right now going onto the market. And in fact, we can see that this year, comparatively, as compared to the last year, the openings are on the lower side. Why it is, how it has happened, or what is the reason behind it, I'll talk about that as well. Okay, but we need to make sure that whatever opportunities that we will be getting, okay, we need to nail that, okay, at first instance itself. That's the main reason you have to make your preparations very, very, very strong, both on the Tableau side as well as on the SQL side. It's a 50-50 now. Earlier, it was around 70% Tableau, 30% SQL. Now it is 50% Tableau, 50% SQL. So what is a prototype-based project? So prototype-based projects are nothing but a design is shared by the client. So you have a reference to check. So when you have a reference to check, what will happen? You would be able to see what is happening, what are the informations that the client want, and you have a clear idea and a picture that what will be the output. So that is a prototype based project. So a design is shared by the client. You have to recreate that entire design in Tableau. Okay, so the first point is design is shared. Okay, so when design is shared by the client, so definitely they would be sharing some documents. Without the document, the design can't be shared. So the documentation's name is called BRD. BRD stands for, anyone?
Business requirement document.
Right. Business requirement related. Let's make a requirement. Document. Okay, this is definitely shared by the client, and it is a very extensive document that you get with intricate details. Every information related to the project will be mentioned in this business requirement document. But it doesn't mean that every intricate details will be mentioned. I'll come to that point as well. Some of the clients maintain these BRDs very nicely. Means you do not have any questions. All the questions are automatically answered in the BRD itself. But most of the clients, since as a business, you tend not to document everything. Why? Due to laziness. You might not have a lot of workforce to do it. Okay, that's the main reason when all the informations are not passed or documented in a PDF format or in an Excel format. So that's the reason Agile comes into picture. Okay, so there are a lot of to and fro's between the end user and the developers and the QA team comes into picture because the BRDs are not always very, very clear. But in a prototype based projects, what I have seen in my last 9.5 years that the requirement comes in good, not bad. Okay, so since BRD is provided, so the KPIs are also mentioned. KPIs generally stands for key performance indicators. Okay, the KPIs are shared. Okay, they will give you a data source, right? Without data source, visualization team has got no meaning. What will you make visualizations of if you do not have a data source? So a data source is shared. So the data source in the industry, it is never a single data source, multiple data sources. Okay, so the concepts of relationships, joins, blends comes into picture when the data sources are multiple with lots and lots of table to combine and create your database repository. So a data source is shared by the client. They will give you a QA team as well. Okay, they will give you a data team. It is also called an ETL team. Okay, so as Tableau developer, your work is specified only on Tableau. Okay, you do not have to do a data modeling. Okay, so this team is also called as a data modeling team. So why SQL is required there? Okay, that might be a question. When a data team is already there, then why do Tableau developers need to know SQL? The answer is that when you are working on Tableau, it is not only the tool that you have to work, but also on the data side, because you have to do a lot of analysis and a lot of researches and a lot of permutation and combinations of table connections to figure out the requirement of the client. For example, client has got 4 fields in a report, which is already existing report. Now, after suppose you have only developed that for report with 4 fields, after 1 year, client comes up with no, I need 1 more field to be added in my report. Then what is required to be done? So you check the data source. If the field is available in the data source, it's just a drag and drop on the field on the canvas and it will be easily displayed. But when you saw the data source, you figure out that that field is not available. So that field is coming from some other table which has got no connection with this table. Then what will you do? Then you need to figure out that what is the common table who basically I would be able to connect to. Because if there is no common field name, I won't be able to connect it to multiple tables, right? And this field is coming from a table which has got no link with this table, the database repository table that you have created. Now, what will you do? Now you need to find out a path how you can bring that information into your database repository. So in that, when this kind of requirement basically comes in, you need to be very strong with your SQL concepts and how joining and everything will be required to be done, union. And that's the main reason you need to know SQL, because if you do not do the analysis, you won't be able to convey the same information to the data team, because you will have a read access of SQL. You will not have a write access on SQL. What is the meaning of read access? That you will be able to check all the tables, would be able to code as well, but you won't be able to create a new table and save it. Okay, so that in the database itself, you won't be able to do that. That is called the read access. So all the analysis you will do, and once you figure out, you have to pass the same information to the data team. They will then generate the same query and save that file for you. Okay, and then it will be used by other members in the team. So for that reason, you need to do a lot of analysis. That is the main reason why SQL is required. Another main reason why SQL is required, because most of the projects are right now in the analytics-based project. So a lot of analysis of the data is required to be done by the Tableau developers themselves. Earlier, as Tableau developers, it was mainly maintenance kind of work. What is a maintenance work? That already a dashboard has been built by someone, and you just need to make some changes in the dashboard whenever time required. So it was a very easy job earlier, but now, since the development is from scratch, the job or the roles or the responsibility of a Tableau developer is on the higher side. And since most of the organizations are trying to figure out more meaning from the business, that's the main reason the interviews are also very strong, because they want good developers, not just people who knows the tool, but actually who can do analysis and find out informations from the data through the tool. Okay. So a design is shared, BRDs are shared, KPIs are shared, data source is given, QA team is given, data and the ETL team is given as well. Okay, so these are the 6 things that you'll be getting in a prototype-based project. Any questions as of now?
No.
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Awesome. So I'll once again say that if it is possible, please switch on your cameras, because otherwise it's like speaking to a black screen, which I don't enjoy as well. And I don't understand that whether you are understanding or not. Okay, your faces matters to me a lot. So analytics-based project. Okay, the first thing is design is not shared. Okay, so this is not shared by the client. You have to develop a design and share to the client and take the sign off from the client. Once they give you the sign off, only then you would be able to create that design in Tableau. So design is not shared. So that's the main challenge. Since you do not have a reference point, what design you will make? So you have to use your Tableau, means your experience in this picture. Okay, in this type of requirement, experience is the most important thing. For that reason, there are not much openings for freshers in Tableau. You have to showcase some kind of experience to get into Tableau. Okay, that is the main reason. So from where will you get this design? So there are a lot of reference points on Google and social media. We can find how the design is done. You can copy any of the design and include it in your in the BRD that you will be creating. So design is not shared by the client. BRDs are shared, but very non-informative, I should say. Not much informative, non-informative. So they will give you some of the KPIs for the project, that what they are thinking that it would be good. You have to do the remaining analysis and figure out the KPIs for them. Okay, so this BRDs that they provide are not very, very strong. Okay, there are a lot of loopholes, there are a lot of improvements to be done as well. Okay, so obviously the business logic comes into the picture. In the BRD, we have business logic. So I think missed one point. Let me write over here. So what is business logic? Business logics are nothing but the formulas. For example, if I have to ask you that in our school days, we had actually did some kind of mathematical formula, like to figure out simple interest. What is the formula of simple interest, guys? Anyone? How to calculate simple interest?
Principal into rate into
PNR by 100.
Sorry,
PNR by 100.
what does that mean?
P stands for principal amount. N stands for number of years.
Correct.
R stands for rate of interest.
Correct. Very good. So PRT or PNR by 100. So principal into rate into time by 100. This is a formula. Okay. So now when you are working for a finance domain or an healthcare sector, you won't know what are the business logics that they are using, right? How to figure out this, that, and that. So all those calculated fields relations that you need. So they won't be giving you everything like this is the LOD, this is the that won't be given, but they will give you all the formulations. Okay. So like this, it will be provided by the client. Over here, in the business related documents that you have over here, you will get only the formulations. Okay. Wherever it is required, you need to ask them, because they are not going to provide every details. You have to ask them that this is missing. I need informations on that. So in analytics-based project, it's a lot of to and fro's from the client that you have to go through on a daily basis. Okay. So KPIs are shared, but not extensive. You have to create the KPIs for the client that would help the client for the business. Okay. So you will have to check the data. You have to study the data a lot, understand how the fields are connected to each other, from where the data is coming, how the connections are required to be made. A lot of brainstorming sessions are required, would be happening in this kind of project. And you then need to figure out the KPIs, build the document and share it with the client. the client will then understand, yes, then they will give you a thumbs up that, okay, these are the points we can incorporate. Can you also incorporate that? Can you also incorporate this? So all those informations on all those exchange of ideas would be happening. And then you have to prepare the BRD. Basically, you are the creator of BRD for the client. And then it will become a standardized project. Because in this type of requirement, the clients that generally comes, I am not aware of Tableau. Will your organization help me to find out informations for my business? This is what the deal means. Before the deal happens, these are the type of conversation that basically goes through. And then whoever, with whatever company that you would be working, they would be saying that, yes, I have 100 Tableau developers in the bench. As soon as you give me the project, I will deploy 3 according based on your requirement, and we can create all these informations for you. So, and then they will discuss about the money and all, and then the project will come to the organization. Okay, so business logics are shared over here as well. Data sources are definitely shared. Whether it's a clean data or unclean data, that is your headache, because as Tableau developers, we are not working on cleaning the data. Okay, but if you are, or if you get associated with any mid-scale organization or a small-scale organization, then I think the ETL will also come into picture. Or if there are some organizations who are looking for a person who can do multitasking together with Tableau, they can handle the data modeling as well, then that is a must skill nowadays. Okay, otherwise, as Tableau developers, the data cleaning will be done by the ETL team. So here also you will get an ETL team. Here also you will get a QA team. Okay. So the most important thing that is missing over here is this. Okay, the design is not shared. So you, as a Tableau developer, you need to understand how the designs are built. Okay, how container structuring of layouts is done. I will take an extensive session on container structuring. Okay, how to use horizontal, vertical, and blank to create your dashboards. So once you know that, only then you would be able to create the design for the client. Otherwise, it is only drag and drop that you will do, which will have no meaning, because ultimately you have to publish this onto the server. Once you publish onto the server, then everything goes wrong. Your design gets broken at that time. For that reason, a container structuring is very much important. Okay, let me give it some order. Any questions as of now, guys? No question from anyone?
So, like one question, Deep.
Yeah.
So for analytic based time project, client will give like more time as compared to prototype based project.
I won't say more time, but yes, you will get a separate time for brainstorming sessions. So that can be considered as more time, because you are investing time on, instead of development, you are investing time on figuring out things. So yes, you will get more time, but they have a project deadline and project plan as well. So your Scrum Master and your project managers will all be associated to understand how the flow will go through. You do not have to use your brain in that. Your Scrum Master or project manager, whoever is handling the project, would be responsible for ensuring that the task flows in properly. Okay, and you get adequate time to work. However, these projects are a bit challenging. Means you have to give always more than what you sign for. Means if you sign for 9 hours job, you cannot complete the task within 9 hours. You will have to invest 10 to 12 hours or 14 hours as well. Okay, depends on the situation. It also depends upon how many developers are there in your team. Okay, if there are good number of developers, then the pressure is not on the higher side. But in the Tableau project, if I compare report development lifecycle to a software development lifecycle, in a software development, then the number of developers are always on the higher side. 10, 15, 20, 50, 100 also. But in Tableau, you will hardly find more than 5 or 6 in a project. In most of the cases, it will be 2 or 3, not more than 3 also. It will be 2 or 3. And in some of the cases, you can be an individual contributor as well. Okay. So there are many projects which are running with individual contribution. For that reason, you have to be very good with the skill, because now you have got a helping hand. If you're getting stuck, you can ask me or Amol sir. But in the industry, you might not get people that to whom you can go and ask for help. Okay. All the things you would be doing your R&Ds by yourself. Okay. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Any other questions from anyone? No? Am I teaching so well that there are no questions? So, no question is coming from the QA team. Are you guys all aware what is a QA team? What is the job of QA team?
So QA team is basically from client side?
From anyone's side. No, it won't be from the client side, because if the client is giving offshore all the responsibility, so the QA team will also be from your organization itself. But what is the job of QA? What type of QA generally happens?
Like
they
check the qualities of the project, what you make. And before QA, we need to check self QC or peer review by the members.
They do the testing work, like whatever has been developed so far.
Yeah, they do the testing
maybe
part.
as mentioned in the agile methodology, whenever there is one cycle of that, what we say, for 1 week it would be happened, right? Whenever it is there, the QA team will be checking all the.
Right. So let's talk a little bit on the QA, because this is important and you need to know how the QA team basically functions. So the first type of testing that basically happens is an unit testing. Unit testing is nothing but the test that as Tableau developers we do. For example, I have created this, suppose say, document. Now I need to check that whether I made any kind of mistake, spelling mistake, grammatical mistakes on those things, right? So that is the unit testing. But the testing which is done by the developer is basically called unit testing. Okay, by yourself. Okay, you can pass your workbook to someone else; they can check as well, but no one will check because there are a lot of work. Everyone is doing their own job. Okay, so this is basically the first type of test that generally happens. Once the QA is done with the testing, it will be passed to the tester. Tester means whoever is working as a QA for your organization. Okay, so it can be an ETL tester. So ETL tester's responsibility is to test not only your Tableau work, but also the flow. Okay, also the data team, what type of test that they are doing, they need to check that as well. It can be an ETL tester, or it can be a manual and automation tester. Anyone, basically, whoever is doing the testing part would be checking all things. But that doesn't mean that he would be technically sound with Tableau tool. Okay, so they have set of checks that they need to do. They have a document that they need to follow to do the testing for you. They will have zero understanding of how Tableau tool functions, but they would have understanding where are the filters working correctly or not. These are the visuals that are required to be created. Are the numbers coming correctly or not? So they will do a test with the database, means on the SQL side, they will fire queries and figure out whether this answer is coming or not, and they will match with your Tableau calculations that you have used. On the performance side, they can only see and tell that whether it is taking a lot of time or whether it is refreshed within the deadline that has been given to you. Okay, so there are deadlines of everything. Means suppose the refresh should not be more than 10 seconds. Within 10 seconds, your dashboard should get loaded. So all those kinds of informations are also shared during the Agile. It won't be a part of the BRD. Okay, during the testing. So once the QA gives you the thumbs up that yes, all's good to go, then you will be moving on to the next phase, which is called UAT testing. Okay, so UAT generally stands for user acceptance testing. User acceptance testing. So who's this user? This user is no one but the end user. So now the clients, once the QA team gives you a thumbs up, now you know that yes, my development is ready. So you won't be publishing this data directly onto the production. Okay, so we at first upload it onto the QA server. Okay, so where all the testings are done. So the end user will get access to this report that yes, it is now published. You can now check. So the end user will check and will figure out that everything is coming correctly or not, the data and all. If he is or she is happy, then they will give you a thumbs up that yes, it is looking good. Now you can move it to the production. If he or she is not happy, he will mention on the Jira that these are things that I'm not happy. End user are not very much strong on Jira, so they might ping you directly that these are the things that are required to be done, or they might email you as well. So based on the informations that they pass, you have to either once again bring that into development and start with the development or make the changes once again, or it will be moved into production. So once the UAT testing happens, then your report becomes ready. So it generally passed with 3 tests. Understood? What is unit testing? What is ETL and all? Oops.
Yes.
Because these kinds of informations are very important during your interviews as well. Because as Tableau developers, you need to have an exposure of what is happening in the project. Okay, you might have learned Tableau from somewhere else, but whether they have shared these informations are something is a question. Because if you don't say that yes, in our project we had our testing team as well, our ETL testers were there who used to check the flows and also our Tableau reports. And after the reports passes the QA phase, it moves on to the UAT phase. So the end user comes in and checks the report at that time. So all those information, these small little things are very important when you are talking during the time of interview. I will give you some tips and tricks how to face your interviews when we'll be meeting on with our feedback sessions and all. I'll be sharing all those informations. Understood? Clear so far?
Yes, Deep.
Yes, Deep.
Awesome.
Yes, Deep.
So our first project, okay. So we are going to cover all these type of requirements in our project module, okay. So we have designed the project module into 2 phases. One is a prototype based project and another is analytics based project. So our first project, since it's your first project that you will be working, so we'll be working on prototype based projects so that you have some kind of reference and develop the ideas as well. So a prototype based project will be the first one that will be working, and the domain of this project will be finance. Okay, a very, very important domain that you can mention in your resume or talk about during your interview as well. Okay, this will be the domain of your work. Now, before I start with the sprint planning, I will be explaining you how we will be working. Okay, so now what happens in the industry? In the industry, how the Tableau developers are functioning is very, very important to understand. Okay, so whenever the task flows in, if you have checked the agile session, you can see that the tasks are distributed by the Scrum Master or the project manager. Okay, so you have some specific tasks. It can be that in a workbook there are many dashboards. Okay, you might be working on 2 dashboards, another developer is working on another 2 dashboard using the same data source. So the tasks are distributed nicely by the team. Over here, if I distribute the task, you won't be able to understand many phases. That what might be what Chinmay is doing, you don't know, or what Prachi is doing, Chinmay is not aware. I do not want that kind of confusion. I want you guys to face everything over here by yourself. So you will be, so I won't be distributing any task to you. You have to develop the project from scratch by yourself. Okay. So all the difficulties that you will face, I want this journey to be a little bit challenging with a little bit of struggle as well. Because if you don't struggle, you won't do the researches that I want you to guys to do. Because in analytics project, you have to do a lot of research by yourself. And trust me, because right now, checking the market scenario, you might go as an individual contributor role rather than a team. Okay, because they are not hiring a lot many Tableau developers, because now industry have understood that it is not a job of 3 people. 2 people can also do the same task. Last year it was a different thing. People were not aware how Tableau functions, what was that tool all about. Now they have understood that not much developers are required, so they are reducing the numbers a little bit. For that reason, a saturation has come in. I'll talk about that as well at the end. Okay, but that doesn't mean that there are no openings at all. There are a lot of openings, a lot of projects are flowing in, but you will be going for a role for an individual contributor. One biggest example, I think, is Pran, right? He has cracked a job in Tableau, and you are working as an individual contributor, right, Pran?
Right. Yes.
Uh, so that is how it is. Means you have to means you need to know the tool very well, and you need to know from where to search. It is also a skill.
Right.
Everything that you are
Right.
searching on Google, you might not get. You have to be a very good uh, means I should say you need to develop the skill of searching the right things from the right places. That is very important, because
Right.
if you don't do that, a lot of time will be killed. Okay, where to search, where to ask
Right.
the question. Tableau community comes very strong in this place. You have to ask, post questions over there. When to post the questions, when will you receive the information or the answers to your questions? Many things goes into picture. So I want this journey to be something like that. So I will be your last point of contact. Okay. If you come to me, ask a question, I will give you the solution within seconds. But will that help you? No. It will be like a spoon feeding kind of. What I want as Tableau developer, I'm also a Tableau developer working one part a little bit on Tableau as well. So what we do a lot of collaborations and interactions between the team members when we are stuck. So there are many people. I don't think many people have joined in the first session, but there are many more to join as well. I don't know why they have not joined. But yes, you have to do a lot of interactions between among you guys, okay? So that you can gain the knowledge, share of thought process will be happening, and you will be developing yourself slowly. Okay, it's a 1 month time. In this 1 month, we are going to learn many things. Okay, we are going to cover very important aspects of Tableau which you might not have heard about as well. Okay, so I'll be covering those areas. So you can showcase experience like 6 to 7 years experience as well, because I'll be talking some of those parts as well, not on the API integration and all. That will be very high level. Uh, but yes, but strong sides of Tableau you'll be exploring over here. But what I want a lot of collaborations will be happening between you guys, okay? And you can connect with each other over call, communicate with each other, share ideas and thought process. If you find any link which is useful, please post it on the group so that someone else can get benefited out of it. So help each other to grow yourself as well. Okay, if someone is asking, can you please explain that to that person? What will happen when you are explaining? You are developing that skill as well, that your skill is becoming much more stronger, because to explain that person, you will once again check that video which you are already aware of, might be one more time to understand it better so that you can explain it better. Okay, so all those collaborations will be happening over here, and the entire journey I'll be monitoring. Amol sir will also be there. He will also be monitoring, and we will be there constantly as a guide. If you are stuck anywhere, you will come to us. We will let you know. Solution is there, okay? But I want you guys to figure out your own solutions. If it takes 1 day extra, I'm okay with that. But I want that hustle to be there, okay? Understood? Any questions? Okay, awesome. So now let's come to the point. Okay. So I'm doing the sprint planning right now. What will be the project deadline?